Let's do some script analysis 101. In this short video, I'm going to talk about a very overlooked but very simple concept when it comes to your script analysis for your next audition. Hey everybody, I'm Matt Cornwell at Get Taped, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services, which I co-own with my amazingly talented, beautiful wife and best friend, Brooke. Had to leave room for her. Okay, walk with me through our space here at Get Taped as I talk about this concept. Hopefully, as an actor, you are training or have had training, and in that training, you should have talked about script analysis with at least one, if not all, of your teachers. And a concept that should come up, and maybe it has, and maybe you just need a good reminder, is this idea of taking the air out of the script. And what do I mean by that? Well, I'm already doing it in the way I edit this video. You see, the style of my videos, if you haven't noticed, when I'm filming everything at the desk and I get into the editing phase, I take out the space between the end of one sentence and the beginning of the next, especially if I have an or a pause or I messed up and I need to go back and say that sentence again. The result is a quicker pace in editing that hopefully doesn't feel jarring. My goal, of course, is to not have it feel jarring, but you're seeing it as I do this video, maybe in a more obvious way because the background is changing between those clips. But of course, that's not what we're talking about when it comes to script analysis, when it comes to your self-tape auditions. That would be very weird and off-putting because then it would imply to the casting director that you might have done 7, 8, 15 takes and are just editing together the best of each of those takes. And while we might want to be able to do that as actors, it would not be received very well on the casting director side of things. Well, what am I talking about? Well, when you get a script for an audition, and let's just say specifically it's for one of the 4 major networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox. It's going to air on network television, and it's not going to default to a streaming service or a premium service. Well, believe it or not, those shows, even the dramas, move faster than you would expect as an actor when you're first looking at your script. And so when you see a 2-page scene and you might have been told in a previous acting class or in a book of acting that most scripts run a page per minute, not so for network television. It should run faster. And I don't mean like twice as fast, but I mean that as you are looking at that scene, as you are sort of reading that scene and hearing it play out in your head, there aren't beats and pauses between every line of dialogue. Certainly not between every one of your own lines of dialogue. There might be beats built into the script or implied between the characters, between sort of transitions in the scene, but even those beats are likely going to move faster in network television than they will in cable or streaming. So if you ignore this concept and you allow your 2-page scene to be 2 minutes and 15 seconds because you're really enjoying chewing the scenery, well, then that casting director is looking at your tape thinking, they don't understand. They don't understand the show. They don't understand script analysis. They just don't understand. And depending on how egregious the offense is, it could mean that your tape doesn't even get passed along, despite the fact that everything else is okay about the performance. And even if it's not a network show, even if it's a film where they aren't sort of bound by the restrictions of commercial breaks and an overall runtime, you still need to be conscious of the pacing that you are establishing in your script. You don't have all the time in the world. And this is where I want to get at the fundamental reason that I believe actors tend to slow down the pacing of scripts. Ego. Yeah. And it's a very simple explanation. This isn't very hard to understand. A lot of actors, certainly here in the Southeast, even if you're getting an audition a week, which here in 2025 is now busy. Back in 2022, that would have been slow for a lot of actors. We were getting multiple auditions a week for most seasons of the year. But if you're only getting that one audition a week and maybe only 1 out of 4 of those auditions are meaty, have more than a couple lines, have a couple pages, maybe, you get excited about that 2-page scene. You get excited about the chance to act. It might be the only time that week or that month that you get to act. And as a friend of mine, Jason Warner-Smith, who's another actor here in the Southeast, just talked about on Instagram, we don't get that many reps on set as actors here in the Southeast. Unless you are blessed to be a series regular or series recurring on a show, you're just not getting a lot of days on set in a given year. And so with that lack of reps, with the lack of auditions, then when one finally hits our inbox, we're so excited. We want to take our time with it. Oh my gosh, speed up. I understand why you're excited and why you want to sink your teeth into this and why you want it to last as long as possible. But you might be sabotaging that very coveted opportunity that you're so excited to have because you're letting your ego get the best of you. You're letting the excitement cause you to chew the scenery by pausing and slowing your speech down. It happens all the time. It's an easy trap to fall into. So having said all that, what's the solution? Well, aside from getting into a class that focuses on script analysis, a very simple exercise is that when you get the script, when you start to practice it, when you are sort of getting it onto its feet, and specifically when you have someone to run it with, try running the lines, even when you're still on book, try running those lines with zero air in the script. That is, there is no pause. As soon as your reader finishes the cue line, you're already saying your line, and vice versa. Have them come in right at the end of your line. They don't have to top it, but they should come in with no discernible beat or pause. What will happen is, I guarantee that, let's say there are a total of 20 lines of dialogue between the two characters. So there are, 19 pauses between those lines of dialogue as you go from character to character and back and forth. 18 of those 19 probably work just fine with zero air. But that one transition between dialogue of the two characters, that one needs that beat. It needs that moment to process. It just isn't logical to say your response or their response so fast because you could not process the information like that. But if you never try this, if you just allow your instincts to guide you, well, then that's how your 2-page scene turns into a 2.5-minute recording. So try taking the air out and then be very discerning about where you should allow there to be a beat that comes back into the script. And for the rest of the script where it felt okay, it felt natural to take the air out, then keep it that way. Allow yourself to keep the pacing moving, because whether, again, it's film or television, whether it's cable or network, we want to move the story along. And the story is not about you. I mean, unless you're auditioning for a series regular or the lead in a film. Otherwise, if your server, if your cop, if your character doesn't have a first and last name because they're a utility character, their character is based on their occupation, then you got to move the story forward. We're trying to get to the lead actor's next beat. We're trying to get to their next sort of crescendo. And it might be happening in your scene, but a lot of times it's not. You're moving the story to that crescendo, to that end point, or to that midpoint where they have some sort of crisis that they're facing. And so you got to serve the story. And a lot of the time, serving the story means taking the air out of the script and letting that story move along quickly. Okay, hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you're already doing this, and this was just a friendly reminder. If you're not, well then start trying this. Take the air out of the script. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.